I want to welcome everybody today. It's just so incredibly, fabulously amazing to see how many people showed up. Some of you probably would have seen last night, we had some news coverage of the campaign. Did anybody actually see that? Yeah, it's pretty cool, you know. It's a great campaign. You'll see it, George will go through it with you today, and you'll see that it's very much somewhat different to campaigns that we've had in the past. We're very, very excited about the campaign, and we're very excited about you all being here because you actually become the sales force. You're the people that are going to be able to understand the logic behind it, understand the messaging behind it, and then talk to industry about it when they ask all of those questions. And that's a really, really important role to have. And the theme of the campaign, I know that some of you, as you came in today, would have been handed some slips of paper. The theme of this campaign, of the Work Safe, Home Safe campaign, is the moments that matter. And so it's about what are the moments that matter to you in your life, and some of them, typically are things such as, spending time with family, friends, pets, or if you've got a particular hobby. So what we've asked is, for people to fill out on this slip of paper. We've run out of slips of paper, which is fantastic. We're really excited about that as well. What are the moments that matter to you? And we'll collate those. If you haven't handed them in, if you still have them, if you provide them to either Amber or Brad Bick, who are somewhere in the sea of people. Oh, look at that, they're sitting together as well. Right at front. If you hand them to either Amber or Brad Bick, what we'll do is that we'll collate those and we'll tell you at the end what are the 5 top moments that matter to people within this room. That'll be the 5 top ones. Clearly we can't go through all of them, but we will collate them and then we can put them up or send them out or put them on the website. George will no doubt figure out how we can do that. So as you can appreciate, as I said, it's fantastic that we actually have everybody here, or such a huge turnout to come for the launch of this very, very important campaign. And as you can appreciate, we couldn't bring everybody. There's lots of people, particularly people within our more regional offices, up in North Queensland. So those people were unable to join us today. Plus, also there were people that had other work commitments already that they couldn't reschedule. So what we're doing today is that we're actually we're filming today's events. Gets even more exciting, and then what we will do, we'll be able to then take that video, and people within the regions will be able to see the video of today's event as well, so that we can ensure that everybody throughout the state, all of our staff, are able to share or take part in the launch. We also, as well as the campaign and the rationale behind it this morning, you're also going to hear about our strategies to work with industry and how we're going to actually improve health and safety outcomes within Queensland workplaces. We're also going to hear about, and we're very fortunate to have our chair of our board, Derek Pringle, with us, and Derek's going to take us through the Workplace Health and Safety Board priorities and our vision for a future direction. I would say, just in my experience with him working with Workplace Health and Safety, this Health and Safety Board I think is by far the most active and sophisticated that we've ever had. It's a very, very exciting time to be working within this organisation as well. So Derek will actually take us through the board priorities and the vision for the future. And we're going to close with morning tea. It's a catered event. We all get to get morning tea. So we're going to close today's sessions with the morning tea and to celebrate and to launch the new campaign. So it's my pleasure now to introduce our Deputy Director General, Simon Blackwood. If you could welcome Simon.
Thanks very much for that introduction, Julie, and thanks for so many people turning up today, and to all those people who couldn't make it today. Certainly you'll be getting an opportunity to look at it through our intranet. I'd like to acknowledge the efforts and commitment of everybody here today, so that's staff of Workplace Health and Safety and the Electrical Safety Office, the chair of our board, Derek Pringle, and other people who've come along. I don't know whether there's any other board members or members of industry sector standing committees, but we certainly invited them along. As Julie said, one of the key things to do today is have a look at the ad and for everybody here to understand what we're doing in relation to our public awareness. During the month of October, we'll be running not only an important public awareness campaign, which is going to be shown today, but we'll also be running a lot of events, and I know people in here today and throughout our organisation will be involved very much in those events and making sure that they're successful. The other thing is Safe Work Australia's organised a virtual seminar series, and they asked Queensland and myself to participate in that virtual seminar series to talk about our approach as a regulator in Queensland. In particular, they're interested in what we've been doing over the last few years and our development of a responsive regulator approach. And I just wanted to today run through what the key elements of that approach are. I think from our perspective, the first thing is that we need to focus on influencing human behaviour, and I think that's something that we all acknowledge we've been doing for a long time, but what are the sorts of strategies that we can do to ensure that at all levels of our complex working environments, individuals within teams, teams within businesses, industry leaders, and all within our uniquely Australian community keep safety top of their mind. I think the challenge for us is to engage with industry and community in ways which help them to do that, especially, and this is the discussion we've been having in our organisation for a long time, that we can't be looking over their shoulder all the time. So that's the reality for us as a regulator. So how can we embed that in the workplace and the community? And one thing that we've recognised is the need to act and think more broadly. We need to develop strategies that actively engage with all parts of the complex systems that interact to drive safety outcomes. We don't default to trying to solve every safety problem through the development of more regulatory requirements. And there's no doubt in the community and when there's fatalities, we have coroner's inquiries, etc. There is a tendency to say, all right, this has happened, how we can stop it, do we enforce it through more laws? And I think there's a recognition within the community that that's not going to solve all the problems that we've got out there. It's not about just compliance and enforcement. What we need to do is think more broadly about what really influences people's safety choices, and as a result we need to focus our interventions in innovative ways. So that's a real challenge for us. So what I want to do is just briefly mention the various elements of this responsive regulator approach. You'll be familiar with it, but it's worth drawing the key principles together to make sense of where we're headed, because we talk about those various elements. So first, there's our evidence-based approach. We started that a long time ago, developed our own information of data about what's happening out in the Queensland workplace, what are the high-risk industries, etc., and had a strong commitment to ensuring a strong evidence base. But the second element of that, which we recognise, is that we can push more data and evidence to industry to empower business with knowledge and information to take action. And I think that's something we're going to be doing a lot more in the next few years, and it's something that we've got a greater capacity to do with interactive media and interactive information tools. The second key principle, which probably represents the most important shift in our evolution as a regulator, it's our increased efforts to use existing systems in business, industry and the community to make workplaces safer. In order to do this, we engage industry and community in the safety culture debate, and certainly this ad today is just one element of that whole safety culture debate. So what we're doing, we're collaborating with industry to make their workplace safer and help businesses understand, one, what compliance looks like for them, so that they can successfully implement their own safety activities. For low-risk industries, for example, there'll be fewer key things they need to focus on to be compliant, while high-risk industries will need to be doing more in order to comply. The second issue we get from business, and a lot of you get it, and people in industry, what's in it for me and my business? The perennial, what am I going to get out of improving safety? And we recognise that what we've got to do is provide more concrete evidence about return on investment. And third, how to build a mature safety culture so safety behaviour can be influenced by positive safety systems, leadership, attitudes and motivations. You'll be familiar with a number of the tools, projects and activities that are evidence of how we're doing this. Things like how do we engage on the psychosocial and bullying front. The People at Work project helps businesses understand what compliance looks like for mental health. We started it here in Queensland, but a number of jurisdictions around the country have taken that up over the last 2 or 3 years. Our online cost calculator enables businesses to calculate the direct and indirect costs of workplace injury and determine what's in it for me. Our large number of short and longer film clips and films published to YouTube, our leadership and culture programs, TV, radio and print advertising such as that you will see today. These are all examples of the important work we are doing in this area and show how far we've come, how much we are to be proud of. The third key principle acknowledges that whilst it's important to engage with industry, it cannot be done at the expense of dropping the ball on regulatory efforts. We need to ensure our responses are targeted to high-risk industries, hazards and poor performers through, for example, industry and hazard-based action plans, our successful IPAM program, our small business program and our incident responses and enforceable undertakings. So I think we can be proud of all the many important things we've done and continue to do to improve safety outcomes. But the question is, are we there yet? Most certainly not. I'm of the view that we're never really there when it comes to safety. It takes relentless and concerted efforts that we should and will never back away from. I'm confident, though, that by using one, an evidence-based approach, two, by standing shoulder to shoulder with industry and the community, providing the tools and data to enable industry to leapfrog in their safety performance, and third, whilst never shunning our important role of enforcing the law in a professional and high-performance service delivery environment, I'm confident that our evolution as a responsive regulator will continue to reap safety rewards. So that's sort of just a bit of a clip on what we're thinking about. I'd like now to introduce Mr. Derek Pingle. Derek's our Chair of the Workplace Health and Safety Board, has been this year. Derek is also the President of the Master Builders Association, a councillor for the Lockyer Valley, and I think most importantly a champion car racing driver. So welcome, Derek.
Hey, thanks Simon, and welcome everybody. And can I say that that's the best introduction I've had today. You know, when I was asked to have a chat to you this morning for 2.5 hours, I thought, wow, that's a long time to fill in. But I'm going to cut it down to 10 minutes, so I promise it's only going to be about 10 minutes. Simon, great work. Can I just say right at the outset that, you know, Simon and his team and the leadership that's provided there for you and for work health and safety throughout Queensland is the best in the country. I don't have any doubt about that, because among all of those things that I'm involved in, apart from the businesses that I operate personally and Master Builders and being a councillor in our region at the Lockyer Valley, one of the things I also do is I'm the Chair of Work Health and Safety for Australia for the Master Builders. So when I say you do it well here, when I say you do it best here, I mean it. Great work. So great work on the department. So can I just congratulate each and every one of you for your commitment here this morning, coming along and dedicating to exactly what you do and what you will do throughout the workplaces, and giving help and guidance and direction for those people involved in the working community throughout Queensland. Well done. You do make a difference. Do you know, often people, when they're involved in large organisations like this, they tend to think, well, what does what I do matter really? You know, do I make a difference? Can I say collectively? Absolutely. Because if it wasn't for the collective, then we wouldn't have outcomes. And those outcomes are recognised in the results that you're getting here in Queensland. I am extraordinarily passionate about work health and safety. You know, only been the chairman now for this term, for a few months. And can I say, I took it on because I believe in what it is and stands for. I'm very passionate about it. I've had my own experiences of doing it not quite right, taking a shortcut and ending up on the wrong end of the result. I won't talk about that today. But it did prove to me, it gave me an insight into think twice, act once. And I think that in the workplace, and I've been involved in the building industry all my life since I was 15, 20 years ago. And what is so funny about that? I never get that. But I'm really, really excited about being, and I've got to tell you, I've never ever been called sophisticated. Thank you, Julie. I really do appreciate that. No, she was referring to John Criddle for those. Can I say it's a great board. It is a great board, and already, you know, the work that's being done and the direction and the strategies that the board is focused on is fantastic. It is an awesome board, and Julie, your contribution is exceptional. So we had recently in August for our second meeting, prior to our second meeting, we had a planning day just to work out where is the board going to take the vision, the strategies, what are we going to do about that in the next 3 years, which is critically important to us, because without that direction, the department sort of, well, where do you want to go? And that's all about, again, like I say, it's about leadership. And at that planning day, what was important to us was to determine the 3-year priorities and the direction. Now, in my view, that direction has to have outcomes that are succinct. They need to be effective for safety and for work health and safety and for the good of our workplace in Queensland. They have to be simple and understandable, because I've got to say that we look at programs like this, and that's awesome because this is simple and understandable and hits the heart of everybody. But it was important for us as a board to identify where we are, but critically important what we've done, but where we're going. What we've done is already done, and that's fantastic, and we can't rest on that. So Simon touched on some emerging issues, and I call these the sleepers. And 2 of them particularly are asbestos and the psychosocial workplace bullying, and everything that surrounds that. These are what I call the sleepers. They just sort of kind of sneak in there, and they can, if we're not careful, and we don't address them very quickly, so as we minimise them, they can become a serious problem in our Queensland community. That we don't want. So we are going to do whatever we can to ensure they don't become commonplace problems, because they have that propensity. Simon talked about compliance and enforcement. Yes, that's a critical part of what you do. But can I say, we are very much focused on collaboration with the businesses throughout Queensland, so that they in turn increase their workplace habits and improve them. And it's critically important to be able to do that with collaboration between the department, between us as the board, so that it's not about wielding the stick, it's about what can we do to help you make it a better place. And I think we've all got a role to play in that. So one of the key outcomes, and for the board this year, that came out of the planning day, we had to come up with a simple thematic goal. Now don't get too worried about the word, because I appreciate goals are a hard word. The thematic goal for the board, and it's really simple, 3 words: engagement and leadership. You see, engagement, which I just spoke about a second ago, and leadership, providing good example. And I think that's a critical part of everything that you and I do on a day-to-day basis. Because do you know what leadership is? It's really simple. 3 words again. Leadership is example. That's what it is. So by your example, by my example, as the chairman of the board, by Simon's example, by Julie's example, by everybody's example. Do you know, since I've taken up this role, I no longer do stupid things around my household on my 2.5 acres. I'm not going to tell you what they were. I'm just going to say, particularly you guys, you know what they are. Doing things, it'll be okay, we won't worry about that now, we won't worry about that this time. I don't do that anymore. You know why? Because it wouldn't look good on the front page of the Courier Mail for a start. It would look pretty bad. But the truth of it is, it's about to think twice, act once. And my daughter, who still lives at home, and my son, incidentally, I have 3 children, adult children, and I've been married for 36 years and lived in the Lockie Valley all of my life. There's some of you doing maths and go, hang on, how many years he said 15, 36? I'm not telling you, don't worry about it. So we've lived in that area all of our life and had business throughout Queensland for 36 years. And I need to be a good example to my wife and my daughter who are at home. I need to be a good example for when I prepare my son's race car now, because I've stopped racing. I won the national championship in 2006. I thought it's a good time to retire, exit, let's go, quit while you're ahead when you're at top. And now my son, who's racing nationally, who's number 3 in Australia at the moment, I prepare his race car. I organise him at the race circuit. I run the race team. And do you know that I am very careful about what I do, more careful than I ever was before. Why? Because now it's top of mind. And I think Simon said that a minute ago. The thing about safety needs to be top of mind. What annoys me a little bit is when you talk to people in business and out in the workplace is, it's not top of mind. What it is it's what I have to do. And it's more like I'll get out of it if I can attitude. Bad attitude. Bad attitude. So I have learned a lot. We never stop learning. So like I said, it's example. Reducing fatalities and injuries is, of course, the board's priority. Of course. Increasing awareness and reduction of red tape and all of the things, business engagement, campaigns, awareness campaigns, unique initiatives that continue to be developed by the office and supported by the board are all parts of the overall picture for the workplace, for the safety and the good health in the workplace in Queensland. The 7 industry plans, I saw one of them up there in Simon's presentation. They're going to provide great goals and direction and delivery timeframes. They're also going to assist with the collection of key data, which is really important, and trends. But those 7 industry plans are again simple, effective, and able to be used by the industries for which they were designed. And again, I commend the department for being able to produce such great work. Now, all of this is great, but it does rely on one thing. It relies on each one of us doing our part, as I mentioned earlier, no matter how small, no matter how insignificant you think it might be. Because I am confident, and I say this hand on heart, I am confident that Queensland, together with the department, can and will lead the way to a better, safer and more productive workplace. I absolutely believe it. But it's dependent on what you do personally as well. Not only for you that are here in the room, but those in regional areas that will get a podcast of this or whatever Julie said it was, some fancy word on the website. I'd love to be able to access that and find out how to look at it. So maybe Julie might be able to tell me, I say. So to achieve these great results requires a cultural shift in all workers. It requires a cultural shift. You know, I was talking to a guy at a service station this morning on the way down here, and he talked to me and he knew where I was coming here and said, I'd love to talk to you about workplace health and safety and how to fix it. And I'm thinking, I know what a lot of businesses do say is, don't worry about it, or water it down, or whatever. Can I say, that isn't the answer. It's going to be really important, it's going to be hugely important that we have a cultural shift in the mindset of the workers and in the attitude of the employers. Because without that, none of it will work. It won't be all right. It won't be okay to cut a corner. Our board is focused heavily on making sure that businesses are aware of their obligations, but trying to come up with innovative ways to get the message across. And I believe over the next 3 years, you're going to see a lot of that evolve. So this campaign, this one here, it's an excellent campaign, turning the attention right back at the individual, which I think is awesome, because it's reminding them, why is it so worthwhile to come home? Why it is so worthwhile to come home. The campaign uses previous messages, but introduces a new message, which is, as you've seen, work safe for the moments that matter. And can I encourage every one of you to write down those 5 key areas that you see are important, the moments that matter today, because again, from that data, we can determine what are the top priorities out there, particularly from a room of this size. So it gives me great pleasure at this stage, and I would love to talk to you all day, but I'm not going to. You're saying, God, I hope it's finished soon. It does give me great pleasure to introduce the WorkSafe, HomeSafe advertisement to you now. And I invite you to watch this advertisement and appreciate the emotion that it contains. Thank you for this morning, and best wishes to you for the future. Thank you very much.
2, 3, 4.
WorkSafe for the moments that matter. Authorised by the Queensland Government, Brisbane.
Before we get to the finest morning tea Simon's catering delegation can stretch to, I'm here to enlist your support to drive this campaign's message to as many people in the community as possible. I'll run through the rationale behind the campaign, the objectives we want it to achieve, and how we'll measure their success. Most importantly, I'll cover off on the ways in which you can help us achieve these objectives. The approach we've taken for this campaign is just one way to use advertising to get people to work safely. Our ads sell the benefits of safe behaviour, and by doing so create a positive attitude towards that behaviour. This reminds people that if they don't work safely, they're behaving in a way that if they stop and think about it for just a second, they already know is wrong, because they're putting themselves or others at risk of injury. There are other ways of using ads to influence people's attitudes, but you need to tread very carefully. One of these is to disguise the serious message in an ad that people want to talk about and want to share with their friends. Now, a few of you may know this, but Melbourne Metro Trains' Dumb Ways to Die used a very simple animation, an insanely catchy song that took social media by storm.
Set fire to your hair, poke a stick at a grizzly bear, eat medicine that's out of date, use your private parts as piranha bait. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Get your toast out with a fork, do your own electrical work, teach yourself how to fly, eat a 2-week-old unrefrigerated pie. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Invite a psycho killer inside, scratch a drug dealer's brand new ride. Take your helmet off in outer space, use a clothes dryer as a hiding place. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Keep a rattlesnake as a pet, sell both your kidneys on the internet. Eat a tube of super glue. I wonder, what's this red button do? Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb reason. Disturb a nest of wasps for no good reason. Stand on the edge of a train station platform. Drive around the boom gates at a level crossing. Run across the tracks between the platforms. They may not rhyme, but they're quite possibly the dumbest ways to die. The dumbest ways to die. The dumbest ways to die. So many dumb ways to die.
Be safe around trains. A message from Metro.
Now, you notice the key messages don't even appear until the end of that ad, but that's had 90 million YouTube views. It was a top 10 hit on iTunes within 24 hours of being released, and you can even get it as a karaoke version now. My kids knew about that song before I did because everyone at school was singing it, and they were making up their own verses, different ways to die. It's won dozens and dozens of marketing awards. I think it's the most decorated online advert in the history of those kind of awards. And most importantly, it resulted in a 21% reduction in train accidents and 14 million people stating that they would be safer around trains because of the campaign. So it works. Airgun Energy, some of you may know, are giving this technique a crack right now. Using social media adverts only at this stage, their Grim Llama is warning us to think ahead a bit around electricity.
Unless with him you wish to see it. Think ahead a bit. Think ahead a bit. Don't DIY electrical work. It's illegal and dangerous.
There are 4 or 5 different versions of this ad. I won't play them all today, but check them out on YouTube. Each one tackles a key electrical safety message. It'll be very interesting to see what reaction and results Ergon get from these ads, but so far it looks very, very positive. The timing's spot on if you think about it. Facebook flogging Gen Yers are getting very close to their 30s now, just about the age you really start considering major home renos. So perhaps that advert's not for us yet, or maybe we should give it a go. So for now though, the campaign we're launching on Sunday, it goes to air for the first time on Sunday. It builds on the Homecomings advertising campaign we ran on and off from 2008 to 2011. Homecomings encourage people to stop and think about the impact of a workplace injury, not only on the injured worker, on the injured person, but on their families and their loved ones too. Its objectives were to change community attitudes to work safety and in turn their behaviour at work by reminding us that we need to work safe in order to come home safe each day to those we care about and those who care about us. Its key message was the most important reason for making your workplace safe is not at work at all. So it cost us a lot, but it worked very well. Nearly half of the employers, employees and influencers that we surveyed after the campaign said they now place more importance on work health and safety. A third were more likely to implement changes at their workplace. A third said their knowledge of work health and safety had increased, and about 1 in 5 said they would make changes to their own behaviour at work. That meant real and sustained behavioural change in Queensland workplaces. Our new campaign has the key message, work safe for the moments that matter. It uses the same motivations to work safe, but as Derek said, really turns the attention back on the individual. It reminds people that there are plenty of things in their lives that are worth coming home safely for, plenty of special moments that make us smile. And share a few of mine. So, my youngest, Eleanor, she exists on a diet of bread, cheesy mite and chocolate only. And my oldest, Holly, who just can't wait to get a real tattoo. Our daughters give me loads of special moments. They're not always special in a good way, but anyone with kids would agree there's certainly moments that make for good stories once the dust has settled. I've got 2 border collies as well, but once I saw the pictures of our campaign dog Sophie, no photos. Besides, most of the moments I've had with them recently have seemed to involve filling in huge holes in my lawn or saying, "How much?" to the vet. Now here's another moment that mattered to me. I might just duck behind the lectern after this. Oh, there we go. Since the slide's here, that Johnny Wilkinson moment was very important to Tracy and I. We were the only white shirts in a sea of green and gold in the beer garden at the Royal Exchange in Toowong. We turned up there and it was already full. There was only one space right at the front. And we'd been in Australia long enough to realise that as long as you support your team with passion, Australians will accept that. So we went straight to the front and shouted the whole way through. It was an absolutely fantastic night. Brings me to my partner in crime and best friend for the last 20 years. Halfway through which we thought it'd be a great idea to get married and settle down here in Brisbane. An amazing moment for me. Another love of mine, I like to get out on the mountain bike trails when I can. I've got a clip here from a trip to Europe a few months ago. There was some big road race on at the time. So take that peloton. There's nothing like sharing your moments that matter by gate-crashing 60 live TV broadcasts to 190 countries and an estimated 3.5 billion viewers. So our adverts show different workers at the start and end of their working days, and we see moments that are special for each of them. It will prompt people to consider work safety and think, if I want to keep experiencing these moments in my life, I need to be safe at work. We ran pre-campaign research using 500 Queensland employers, employees and influencers aged between 25 and 54. The results confirmed that we're already doing a pretty good job here in Queensland. 75% of the community already regard work health and safety as very important, and 66% think of safety before they start the job. To support our compliance and enforcement efforts, we provide a huge amount of resources and advisory services for employers and workers which show how to work safely and how to ensure a safe workplace. We use events and the press to raise awareness of the business benefits of good safety management, the financial risks of unsafe work practices, and the human cost of workplace injuries. Many here will know that the latest performance stats show that this is having a big effect. We've got significant drops in fatalities and serious injury rates across the board, particularly in the 4 priority industries. However, only 39% of our respondents said that they had recently discussed work health and safety with family, friends or colleagues. This shows that while a positive community attitude towards work health and safety exists, there's still plenty of room to improve the belief that it's an important part of every single working day. So this campaign is designed to fill a gap in our education, awareness and engagement strategy by targeting individuals in the community. It's this area that we'll be looking for the ads to have a positive, measurable impact on. As I mentioned, the ads start on TV this Sunday, as well as on radio and online, and they'll run throughout Safe Work Month. Facebook ads have already been active for a week or so, and given you're all at least in one of our target demographics, you should have seen them popping up in your news feed. If not, it would indicate that you're in a special demographic. So these ads encourage people to organise an event at their own workplace, get along to events that we're hosting, send in pictures of their most important reason to work safely, and share one of their moments that matter. The responses to these calls to action will be measured against previous years and used as an indication of the campaign's short-term impact. You can see in just a week they've had a big impact already. 700 likes of the ads themselves, and they've been seen by over 600,000 people. That was Monday, so probably half as much again by now. They've also prompted sustained interaction with us, as we've had 350 odd new likes of our homepage since they began. That's nearly a 30% increase in a week. To measure the campaign's longer term impact on community attitudes to work safety, we'll conduct another round of independent market research later in the year, as well as surveys of our stakeholder database. We'll share these results with staff and stakeholders through the usual channels. So, what would we like you to do? These presentations have given you an insight into the thinking behind the campaign and what we want the ads to achieve. Please share this insight with those you work with, the companies you visit, and your friends and family. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, share posts and retweets so that as many people as possible start thinking about the moments that matter to them. You can even post a photo or clip of your most important reason for work safety. Encourage workplaces to send staff to one of 35 odd Safe Work Month events around the state. Better still, get them to send a group. For those companies that really want to show the rest of their industry or their local community that they're serious about work safety, point them to the sponsorship prospectus. There's still plenty of those left. King George Square Breakfast is just 1 week away now. So, busy time for us. And the more we can fill it with safety professionals, workers and trade displays that showcase safety, the better. Quick sell here, it's only $500 for a stand. And there's 2,000 to 3,000 people we're expecting through the square, means great exposure for any business. If you can, come down yourself too. Shane Webke steps into Big Mal's boots this year, and we'll have plenty of demos, entertainment and giveaways. Got posters, postcards, photo frames and USBs. Supplies should have been sent to all of your offices now, so grab a handful of each before you set out each day. Use them as conversation starters and ask workplaces how they're planning to get involved in Safe Work Month. Could be they prefer just to hold their own morning tea or toolbox talk, or build something into their pre-start. If so, I think that's the right one anyway. Point them to our event planning toolkit and other online resources. If they register their event online, we'll automatically send them a resource pack. So that's just about it from me. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your support in making sure work health and safety is top of mind for everyone in Queensland. Any questions on any of that? Happy to field anything at a later date by email. So just before I hand back to you, Julie, we're just going to play our latest case study film for you. This not actually on YouTube yet, but it will be very soon. It came out of an IPAM program, and it was a great example of what a collaborative effort between a proactive regulator and the staff and senior management of an organisation with an underperforming safety record can achieve once everyone sits down and puts their heads together. We've also got a new star at the silver screen, IPAM advisor Carolee Dyer, I think is here today. Did a fantastic job for us.
So when we first started with Greyhound, they were managing quite a lot of claims relating to workplace injuries.
2 years ago when we started the program, I think we were double the state average.
But since the IPM program, they've reduced that number by a huge amount. The program is designed to identify where improvements can be made and work with the workplace to make those improvements.
Being part of the program has given us a really good structure to follow.
There is a safety vibe that's infected Greyhound. I haven't seen anything like it before. When we first came to work with Greyhound, they had a lot of injuries on their books, and they'd also just come into new management. The safety culture at the beginning of the program was quite poor.
Management commitment is imperative to a strong safety culture, so buy-in from the leadership team, starting with the CEO, is very important.
One of the issues I believe we faced when I came in is that whilst the company had a decent record on safety, it wasn't nearly as good as it should have been.
Most of their injuries were musculoskeletal and related to manual tasks.
Through reviewing our injury statistics, we attributed a lot of our injuries back to our old vehicles. So poor seats, clutches, knee injuries and back injuries, left shoulders from our gear levers, and lifting up the bin doors. Greyhound has made a significant investment in new fleet.
We actually were able to engineer out a lot of the safety issues we were getting by significant improvements, say in the way that we configure the bin doors, in the way the drivers now are set up to actually drive the buses.
Welcome aboard one of our new coaches. The new driver's seats are all air operated to stop the bumps coming through to the driver. It makes it a lot more comfortable for the driver, less wear and tear on their back as well. The new coaches don't have a clutch. The automatic transmissions take the wear and tear off your left leg, and the controls within very, very easy reach and very, very easy to use. The bin doors, well, they're all remote controlled, no more heaving heavy doors up in the air anymore.
I think prior to the new general manager and the new safety manager coming on board, Greyhound had a lot of policies and procedures in place, but they weren't really enforced.
Before we started the advisory program, Greyhound's safety culture was a bit poor. I think a lot of it was to do with communication and consultation with the workforce. We were seeing poor reporting of incidents, poor incident and injury investigation. Lack of commitment to training throughout the business has also been a problem. We conducted manual handling risk assessments throughout the business, and from that we then identified some tools that we could implement into the business that would reduce manual handling injuries. One of the tools was a grab stick.
Hooks so we can actually grab the bags and pull them out so we don't climb inside the bins.
Bump caps for the guys who are hitting their head. They get a cool new baseball type cap with a reinforcement in the head there. I think that's a really good idea.
We implemented a torque multiplier which reduced the injuries related to undoing wheel nuts.
Which saves us a lot of back braking trying to crack the nuts. This thing does it so easily.
We didn't just buy new buses, we made sure that it came with a comprehensive training program, of which a large part of that was around safety. We've moved from an ad hoc training plan to a very consistent training plan that people deliver and have scheduled. We have to go out and talk to people, we have to run training sessions face to face, and that's probably the best way of doing it.
What flowed on from a review of our safety management systems was improvements to policies and procedures. We have a stringent incident reporting system which is operational 24 hours a day. A simple phone call to an ops control coordinator who will put it into our electronic management system.
It's not injured, game over, it's injured, what are we going to do about it?
So it's important to have an effective and efficient return to work program to bring back our employees into the business as quickly and as seamlessly as possible.
Then get to assist in making sure that injury doesn't happen again through implementing safety initiatives in response to the injury.
One of the issues that we have as a business is because our drivers come in, they get into a bus and they drive, they're actually quite hard to communicate with.
Improving safety culture is all about communication. We get the word out to the workforce by holding a toolbox meeting, keeping our safety notice boards full of relevant information.
We have messages that go on pay slips. People do read their pay slips.
Every workplace or work area is entitled to elect a safety representative who can speak and voice concerns and issues and raise issues safety related on behalf of that work area. The group of those reps will come together every 3 months and form a safety committee.
Safety starts with me as Greyhound's safety motto.
I contribute the huge drop in injury rates to the change in safety culture, the improvement in the safety culture at the workplace.
A lot of the workers come up with the initiatives that we're implementing. The grab pole and the torque multipliers come from the workforce. So it's proving that Greyhound is listening to their workers and we're taking them seriously.
And now they're really keen to participate in toolbox meetings, they're really keen to participate in safety training, and you can just feel it when you visit the workplace that there's a change.
I don't think Greyhound would be where they are if we never become part of the program.
Probably one of the things the program did at the start was give us a bit of a roadmap of where we needed to go.
So the journey has begun, but we have a long way to go.
Whatever your baseline is, you can get better.
I'd like to say it's an easy journey. It's definitely not. It's one that requires a lot of hard work.
The journey's never over with safety, it's always about continual improvement.
What a fabulous campaign. And I think that, just from this morning and over the last hour that we've been together, it's apparent that there's so many things to be excited about and there's so many things that we can celebrate. It's terrific to see the people from Greyhound saying, I don't think we'd be where we are today if it actually wasn't for the IPAM program, and that within itself, is something so very, very important about how we've been able to assist that particular business. George and your team, congratulations. What a magnificent job. I know how hard your team works, and it's fabulous when it all comes together and we all get to share it and bask in your glory and kind of say, that was my idea. I'll do that. Not strictly true, but yeah, I know how hard your team works, and congratulations from all of us, and great outcome. I'd also like to thank Simon and Derek as well for coming today and speaking, and for letting us, and certainly, for George for sharing with us about the campaign and the messages behind that, and importantly what the role is for us to play within that campaign and taking that message out there to the industry and the broader community as well. We said at the beginning, some of you have filled out the slips. We did run out of slips, and we apologise for that, where we asked people to write down, what were the moments or the key moments that matter, why do we actually come to work. And we've picked 5. There are some common themes around family, friends, and hobbies, and I just thought that I'd share some of those, similar to what George has shared. So these are the 5 from the audience. Number 1 is seeing my son's big smile, which I think is something that we can all relate to. It's a beautiful sentiment. 1, not surprisingly, is heading into the weekend and feeling great. Undoubtedly feeling great because I've had a great week at work. And knowing that they can enjoy the weekend, knowing that they're going to have a great week after the weekend as well. So that's good. Enjoying any time spent with the grandchildren, and enjoying the simple things in life, such as taking a walk and smelling flowers. Enjoying my life away from work. Bit of a theme happening there. Playing golf with my friends and working in the garden. So there's a bit of a common theme there. Another one, walking through the door and seeing my 2 dogs wag their tails silly because I'm home, which I thought was particularly wonderful as well. So thank you very much for sharing your moments that matter. We will actually collate them and put them together on the website so we can all share those. We are going to break or we're going to close, and we're going to go and enjoy some morning tea, catered morning tea. And it's important, as many of you as possible, if you can hang around and enjoy that and reintroduce yourselves to your work colleagues that you maybe haven't seen for a while, or if there's people that you don't know, maybe introduce yourself to those people. After all, we're all here for that shared goal. George has also asked me to mention that there will actually be a scheduled, I underline in bold, scheduled alarm that will go off at 11:15. Where we won't be, it won't be anything that we've done, surely, and there's no requirement for us to respond to that in any way, shape or form. It's just a scheduled alarm test that will happen in about 16 minutes, actually. So thank you very much for your time this morning, and thanks again to Simon, Derek and George's team for all their hard work.